Hello everyone and welcome to podcast 12 of the Dirty Side of the Grid, where we've turned up late to qualifying, but Yusuf actually got a go faster haircut inspired by Sebastian Vettel, so we've been moved up to pole position. Unfortunately, that it's been hidden from all of you. If you want to see it, slip us a £5 note and I'm sure we'll make like a Patreon or something, and then if we get enough money to buy a microphone or something, Yusuf may consider doing an OnlyFans for his head. I've actually got on such a tangent. Okay, so yeah, we're back on podcast 12.
I just feel uncomfortable now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but we're back to finish the Explaining F1 series-ish. And then move on to the 2022 regulations. Just mention a few things that might help understand what's different about this year compared to the other years. But I guess we'll just start off with how you've been for the past couple weeks. It's been.
To be fair, we didn't film last week because I was ill.
Yeah.
But like the weeks before we filmed, to be fair, so it's been okay.
True, yeah, it hasn't been that long. I don't know why it feels like so long.
I think it's just because we're used to recording week on week. And so when you take a week out, you're like, it's been way too long. Have to get back to it now. Especially because we film on Mondays as well.
Yeah.
So you have like basically the whole week and then another week off. And then we're back. It's a bit weird.
It's made me realise how long I spend on the analytics, like trying to look at stuff, trying to see how it does. And then watching it back as well, because obviously we both have to watch. Well, at least most of it. I watch back the full thing, obviously on 2x speed, because I'm not.
Weird.
You
like to watch yourself, basically, that's it.
No, okay, I edit it, alright.
No, I edit it. I edit it.
So do I. No, I mean, no, out of pure enjoyment, because we have such incredible conversation. I'm so interested after a couple hours that we filmed it, I go back and watch the entire thing again.
Yeah, it's very entertaining, isn't it? You watch 5 minutes of it and you're like, why the hell would someone else watch it? Anyways.
We've already sold this. Right,
going off topic.
We're going to start off quickly with the car launches. We're going to catch up on some news that's been coming out recently.
I think if someone watches the first 5 minutes, now they don't want to watch the rest.
Nah, yeah. The watch time graph is just plummeted. But, no, so the main thing that we've got coming up now is the car launches. So, about midway through, so maybe in like a week or two now, the first cars will be coming out. We'll have images of what they'll look like. We'll have a good idea of the best part for me personally. I love the colours. We'll find the liveries. We'll see what kind of stuff they're going for.
It's sad when they choose the same livery though.
Yeah, it's so
like Red Bull basically.
Yeah, every year there's a bit of hope that Red Bull might change it.
No, but like Christian Horner's like, we have to stick to our roots, bro. Because their special liveries are really nice as well.
Yeah. If you look up some of their old liveries, like the camo one, and then the
camo one is nice. And they had like a blue and white.
There was a blue and red one that they had for testing as well. It was, some of their testing liveries are really nice, but then they just go back to the normal one afterwards. Boring. So we can get the dates up and we can see actually, we can make predictions for just the liveries. Like we'll do a full-on predictions episode later, but like, just specifically for the liveries, in order. First, we've got Aston Martin on the 10th.
They'll probably have a pink in it.
Are they sponsored by BWC?
Probably, yeah. Because he's taking, Otmar Safnar, he's taking the thingy with him.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to manage them. He left. No, right, yeah. No, Otmar Safnar, he left and he's taking BWT with him to Alpine. So they're going to lose the pink.
Yes.
It's just going to be clean.
So for those who don't know, like
confused.
Sponsors play a key role in the colours for teams. So we'll get onto that a bit more later. But I might as well do it now. So if you Mercedes, their biggest sponsor will be Petronas, which is the oil company that helps them fuel the car. The blue stripe they have on their cars is inspired by them. There's another one. Who's the other one?
Santander. Ferrari.
Santander or Ferrari.
White and red, basically.
Yeah, so a few years ago they had the white and red. There was another key one about oil.
Ferrari
has a massive Shell
logo.
Yeah,
Shell one, yeah.
There's a... who was it? It's not Alpine.
It
might have been Alpine.
Alpine? No, Alpine just... Oh, Alpine have like a bit of green because of the Gastrol or whatever they're called.
Yeah, something like that. That was the one. Anyway, yeah, so sponsors do play a role in the colour of cars. So Aston Martin, if they get rid of the, what's it called, the pink, they might go back to the lime, so they'll have the dark green and the lime, which looked really good.
This year it was just, did they have pink in their car this year?
They did have pink, yeah, I think.
No,
I'm pretty sure they did, but in their team, so in their team like clothing and stuff, it was green and green.
Okay.
But in the car itself, I think it was green and...
I don't remember.
You've already forgotten, bro.
The season ended and I just like totally forgot. Like you have to put F1 obviously. I totally just forgot everything.
I'm pretty sure it did. It did.
Oh, I have a tiny bit of like tiny.
It still was enough to ruin it, in my opinion.
Like
look how much better that looks.
With the yellow.
Yeah, with the lime green accents rather than the BWT, because I remember they came in quite late. Anyway, right. Next one, McLaren's the day after on February the 11th, and I can't lie, I hate the Golf livery, and I'm really not a fan of their current livery.
The Golf one is really nice.
I don't like the Golf one.
I think they're gonna stay with the orange and blue probably.
I don't like what they've done with the orange. Like orange and blue, I'm not a fan of. Orange
I think
and
the
black
shade is weird.
looks nice, but when they did it, I think all of their liveries from like 2014.
No, the Golf one was really nice, and the end of season one, the views one, that was
nice. No, that was good, but 14.
Oh no, like the black and stuff they did was weird.
So 14 was completely silver because I remember K-Mag was driving it, and it had the weird front wing. That was awful. Then they went to like black and red when they had Honda.
That was weird.
Awful. Then they went to orange, but it was completely orange with like black stuff on it.
That was the last
nice.
year Fernando was there.
Yeah. Then orange and blue wasn't nice. Like they just, I don't like it. I just haven't liked McLaren liveries. I'm just not a fan.
Their livery design team is bad, just like every other part of their team.
Oh, wow.
Low blow.
They might do better this year.
AlphaTauri is fine. I think Ferrari would be the only thing would be disappointed if they don't go back to red and white because they've got Santander back.
We'll get onto them because I've seen pictures of them at the moment. But
they might be wearing the old livery, like the old coloured stuff, just because they don't want to give anything away.
Maybe.
AlphaTauri, I think AlphaTauri.
If we're sticking with McLaren quickly, do you think now? Obviously, they had Mercedes engines last year, but Mercedes engines this year as well. Is there potential they might put a bit more on the car?
No. McLaren basically their competitors were Mercedes, in like the supercar or like hypercar, whatever. Of course. So that's why even if you look like Alpine, they put Alpine or put Renault on their T-shirts, but you don't see Mercedes anywhere. I think you see it on the back of the car.
Alpine on. Mercedes engines.
No. I mean like when McLaren had Renault engines.
Oh,
they had on their T-shirts Renault and Dell, but they removed like when they got Mercedes, you don't see on the car the Mercedes sign anywhere. I think you can see it like over the engine cover maybe, but that's it. Everything else does not indicate what engine they have, because they don't want to give free sponsorship for their competitor essentially. But
next
Renault is not necessarily the case.
Valentine's Day, AlphaTauri. I'd say I like it. And even, in 2017 when they had because they used to just be Red Bull, but with...
Toro Rosso, basically.
Yeah, so the livery, I remember this, because every time a Toro Rosso would end up in the gravel, he'd be screaming like, is that Vettel? Has Vettel crashed? Has he bottled it? And then it's just an AlphaTauri that was in like 15.
It was blue and red at the time.
Yeah, because they used to have... Red Bull obviously has the blue and gold, or no, blue and yellow, and then Toro Rosso used to have blue and like a dirty kind of gold, and it was really confusing, because they looked exactly the same.
And then they switched to the blue and red.
Yeah, and the silver as well. They ran the blue, red and silver, and that was beautiful. And AlphaTauri now, I say this
one's really nice.
They could change it as well, because it's just a clothes company. Like, if they wanted to change the colour, they could.
If they put blue and silver, I think it would look a bit nicer. Like, as in the white turns to silver, I think it would look really nice.
As long as not pretty much most of the teams now run a lot of blue, so I'd quite like the difference.
Yeah, but like even the green, like Aston Martin uses very dark, so it's fairly similar in that sense. But
I guess so. Right, well, next, one team that we know definitely isn't going to change their colours, or at least the main colour, is Ferrari. They've been red every year.
I think they'll actually go back to red and white. I think they'll go back to
I hope so, yeah. So Santander are now sponsoring them. They left in like
2014.
No, were they like
14.
14?
Yeah, because 2013 with Fernando. So it's
Oh
like
yeah. So they had the red and white car. Personally, the Ferrari from 2017, one of my favorite ever, to be honest, in terms of liveries. I really liked it.
I actually liked when they switched to black, because I thought it had been red and white for so long that introducing black, something new.
But I just don't like their the fact it's matte is horrible. I prefer glossy. Like glossy Ferraris are just better.
I don't really care as much.
I just don't like because it doesn't look as nice. It looks more like Red Bull. And you know what? What's interesting actually? They say the matte finish is actually like beneficial for the car.
Yeah,
Not
probably.
by a lot, but
like
yeah, they're saying
maybe.
because of the weight of the paint or something stupid. Like it gives you like a marginal gain.
Anyway, their car is so bad they need every advantage basically.
A lot of people are saying they'll win next season.
No.
We'll not get into that conversation. Okay, so that was 17th. 18th is Mercedes.
I think they're going back to silver.
They are going back. Well, yeah, as far as we know, they're going back to silver.
I actually want them to go back to silver. Like, I think the silver Mercedes with the blue just looks so nice. Like, when they did the black car the first year, I think it looked really, really
yeah, the
nice.
black car the first year was iconic.
But the second year was just kind of like...
It wasn't as good, yeah, it's not as nice.
Because it was just literally the same exact livery.
With the awful stickering at the back as well. I don't like the AMG stickers.
It did not look nice.
But I like going back to it because it makes what they've done now a proper statement. Like, if they just stuck with black consistently, as much as I understand the sentiment, because they obviously did it to be in solidarity with the BLM movement, if you just do it for there and then go back to how it was before, then that era is now in history as, you know, when they switched delivery and they actually made a statement, and then they did the, you know, they sponsored all of these things and they donated money and whatever and all the rest of it. But if they just carried on, it would almost lose...
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It would lose its meaning, I guess.
I'm just looking at it from, like...
The silver would look good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it just looks better, doesn't it?
The last team then that we've got an announcement so far is Alpine.
They're gonna have some pink.
Ooh, because they
still
haven't announced what's more.
Yeah, but he's going red. Like, we all know he's going there, and he's
Probably.
taking BWT with him, so they're gonna have pink in it with their current livery.
What even is BWT? Like, what do they actually make? I don't know what that company actually is.
But that's the thing. If you look at like, I don't know why
Trainer.
did they switch it to Alpine? Why is it not Renault?
I think it's because they were doing bad. They didn't want to attach it to Renault, and then when they
No,
changed
but
it,
like I think I read that like it's the supercar part of like the hyper performance aspect of the company, because it's one company essentially.
yeah,
Is Alpine, but like no one, like, you know, when you say to someone Alpine, they're like, who? You say Renault, they're like, oh yeah, Renault.
yeah.
You're removing your known brand and putting like a brand no one actually cares. Like when you say Alpine, even if you know no one cares.
Yeah, it's weird, and they've also actually their new, like, they've put someone in a position of a high position, I don't know where, and he started radically changing things. Like Alan Prost is now gone.
Yeah, I know.
Alan Prost, the
And they
probably
did
like
it. I think
fifth best. I don't know. Either way, he's a 4-time world champion, which is very big. Like
French.
Yeah, he's French as well, which is a big part of the brand, and he's been
there for a long time.
I think he's been let go, hasn't he? Like
No, they didn't tell him. They just put it on social media, and he's like, "That's how it is."
Oh yeah. He put out a statement about this, and he seemed very upset.
Disgusting.
About it. So, Alpino, yeah.
When is Williams coming out? We didn't talk about Williams.
Is Williams not on this list?
Oh,
no,
Williams
it's okay.
isn't.
Yeah. So the teams that haven't announced anything yet: Alfa Romeo, who made a very nice looking car last year, but they'll probably be last. Haas
will be last.
Also will look disgusting. Red Bull won't even change anything, and then Williams, there's potential they could.
See, this is what
change
annoys me.
their-
They're like, they do this new livery unveiling and all of that, and then it's the same exact car. What is the point?
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, if you're doing the whole big ceremony just to show the same car, it's a bit dead.
It's not even like with this year you get a new car, you're like, oh. But before that, it's literally like the exact same car, exact same livery. What is the point? There is no point. It's
really
just
rough.
it's useless.
And the worst part is, they get like the awful host, where they don't know anything about F1. They've been paid a certain amount, and they're like, "So, Sebastian Vettel, you gonna win next year?" And he's like, "I came like 15th last year, so I'm probably just aiming for 10th, to be honest." And they're like, "Wow, nice." that's it. So
that's rough. Anyways, who's gonna win next year?
No, we're not doing predictions.
Nikita Mazepin is going to win next year.
You know, I did actually, outside of the library that we've booked, I have named it NM9 Goat Emoji because he's due to be
He's going to win it, bro. He's going to win it. I'm telling you, Nikita Mazepin is going to win.
There's no doubt he has the talent.
Yeah, okay.
Let's alright, moving on from that.
Yeah, I can't keep going.
There's going to be 2 testing sessions. There's going to be one the end of February and then one in March. But weirdly, they've decided that the first testing run is going to be, there's going to be media there, but it's not going to be filmed, and there's going to be like basically no infinite, like there's no commentary. No one's going to cover it on live television, and we're just going to know, based on the media that's there, we might get information, like, fed through to us.
I think it's mainly to hide, like, the performance of the car. Like, you know how, like, in previous seasons, basically, it doesn't matter, but this year, because they're introducing new cars and everything, they don't want everyone to just have, like, the exact same car at the beginning. So maybe the idea is, if they have private testing and all of that, you know, you glean certain ideas, but you don't know exactly... Like, because, you know, they have photographers sitting just taking pictures of the car to figure out, like, what everyone is doing. You don't want that, because then it ruins everything. But, yeah.
It makes sense. I've also heard that the main reason they're saying is because they're scared if the car's already unreliable, if they're not good, if things don't work out, they don't want the fans to... It's like an image thing, but I hate that. Like, there should be fans... Oh, yeah, that's the biggest...
We're going to know when, like, the season starts, because, like... Cars are going to be unreliable and bad. Like.
I don't know. And then the worst part, which is the bit I was hesitating and forgot about, there's no fans there either. Because normally they sell tickets and they get people out to watch testing because you can just wander about, watch the cars, bit of entertainment, but they're not doing that. They will do that for Bahrain, which is the strangest part, for the second test.
Yeah, that's the one in March, basically. It's right before, like, I think it's the weekend or 2 before the actual season starts. So at that point, no one can actually change anything. And Mercedes is going to suck. I reckon Mercedes is going to be a midfield team. And I reckon Lewis is going to finish in the bottom half of the table.
Yes, that's why. I was waiting to see if you actually genuinely meant that or if you're just trying to say that.
Yeah, Lewis sucks, bro. Lewis can't drive. He's past his peak, bro. He's just old now. He can't drive.
Do you see the tennis final? Oh, wait, no, this has nothing to do with this. Did you watch it?
Nadal won, yeah.
I was watching the game. It was insane.
You watched it?
I watched the whole game. It was sick. It was so good.
Oh, you're saying that Lewis is like him, basically. He's going to keep winning till he's old. Lewis sucks, bro. He's past his peak.
I'm not really hopeful
Lewis
for
is
next
not
year.
winning anything.
I'm not hopeful for next year. But
Lewis is gonna crash 23 races out of 23 races. He's just gonna DNF every single race. Gonna get frustrated and retire. Look at your face, bro. You're so annoyed.
I just didn't know. It's just last year.
It's actually so funny.
I'm just thinking of last year and it's still annoying.
Oh yeah, he lost. Because he can't drive, you know. If he was a better driver, he would have defended from Max on that last lap. But he's not a better driver, so...
Alright.
The better driver won.
On that, right, screw it, right, we're getting into this. So, to finish the explaining stuff, we're going to go over 2 things in detail. Do you want to go over the PowerPoint? I mean, PowerPoint. Bro, where am I? Engine. The engine in detail. We're going to go over the power unit. That's what I meant.
Okay, so the engine has like... We're going to go over every specific part and kind of what it does essentially. So the basic part is an ICE, which is the same engine you have kind of in your car, which is where they get like the V6 1.6 litre essentially part. So essentially you have your pistons, your crankshaft and your conrod, and essentially what happens is it turns around and that's what moves. Is it the conrod that moves essentially the tires?
The crankshaft one?
Crankshaft, yeah, that one. And
so that's just a normal engine,
exactly,
like the same one you get in a car, just standard.
Exactly. So what happens is it works on a 4-cycle something, I don't remember.
4-stroke cycle.
4-stroke cycle, yes. So essentially the air is sucked in, it's filled with fuel, it's compressed, it's ignited, and then it's moved out and new air comes in. And essentially by using, all the F1 engines are direct injection engines, meaning that they control the amount of air and the amount of fuel they're putting in. And by doing that, by controlling the amount of fuel that's going in, you control the essentially amount of performance. So if you ever played the F1 game, you can tune the amount of fuel you're putting in to get more performance. Same idea essentially. That's exactly it.
So when
exactly
they say turn the engine down at the end of a race and stuff,
That's
one of the ways they can do it.
Is decreasing the amount of fuel that's coming in, essentially decrease the amount of air that's going in, all of that stuff.
Because you're also using a set amount of fuel in the race as well. Like there's no refueling. The fuel you start the race with, you have to last.
There is
the whole
refueling
time.
before the race.
You're gonna confuse everyone.
Yeah, no refueling. I'm just annoying him. Anyways, so the air going out from the ICU goes into the turbocharger, and essentially the turbocharger is made out of a turbine and a compressor essentially. The turbine goes around and it triggers the compressor. The compressor takes in more air and essentially directs it into the ICE. And essentially what happens is, if say you turn up the engine and you're directing more fuel into, because you want more performance, then that means that you're going to get more air from the compressor. So you can direct more air in and extract more essentially energy out. So I think Mercedes hit on one of their last engines like 50% thermal efficiency, which means that out of all the fuel that's going in, they're extracting about 50% of that, the energy in that fuel. 50% is wasted. But that's a lot higher than like a normal car is like 35% essentially. So like you only get 35% of all the fuel in your car. Everything else is like wasted essentially. Anyways, the turbocharger is connected to the MGU-H. So the MGU-H is, for the new engines, that's the big part they're trying to remove essentially, and is one of the most complicated parts in the car. And essentially what it does is, how do I say, in simple terms, it harnesses the energy from the turbocharger, and it can either direct it into the energy store, which in simple terms is a battery. You can choose to store it in whatever way. There are a few ways you can store it, but say it's a battery. The MGH essentially takes the energy recovered from the turbocharger, puts it in the energy store. The second use for it is, in cars generally, when they slow down and they start to say you slow down in a corner and then you're gonna go straight and you put your foot down on the accelerator, you get a bit of delay in the turbocharger. And you see that in older cars. You don't get that today in F1 cars, because essentially what happens is they use the energy in the MGUH so the turbocharger, because it's based off of the air coming out of the ICU, when the car slows down, the ICU slows down, and so the air going into the turbocharger slows down, so the turbocharger slows down. And so by using the MGUH, you can speed up the turbocharger, and by speeding up the turbocharger, when you get off the line or after a corner, you don't get that delay in the turbocharger, you go off really quickly. And then you've got the MGUK. The MGUK essentially, all it does is it harnesses energy when the car slows down. So say you go into a corner, you're losing a lot of kinetic energy. That kinetic energy is harnessed by the MGUK, and then depending on what you're using it for, it can either be directed to the energy store, or it can be directed directly to the MGUH, or directed to the turbocharger, depending on the function. And then the last thing you have the energy store, we said, is either a battery, or there are multiple ways to store it, which the FIA regulates. The last thing is the control electronics, and the control electronics is basically the functioning brain that directs essentially where everything's going, where the energy is going, all of that stuff. In terms of the engine penalties and all of that, you get a certain number of components of each of the ones we've mentioned so far. So energy store, MGUK, MGH, turbocharger, ICE, and all of it together is known as the PU, or the power unit essentially. And so you get a number. So say if you exceed, Lewis changed his ICU in one of the races, was in Brazil. No, Brazil, he took a new part. Brazil, yeah, probably Brazil, yeah. He took a new ICE in Brazil. So that only knocks you down 5 places, where if you change the whole power unit, you get a 20-place grid penalty. So realistically, if you come first, you start last. So 20 place maximum.
IC, just to confirm, ICE internal, and ICU is just internal combustion unit. They're the same thing. So when you're saying ICE and ICU, they're just interchangeable. And then, I guess one of the key things that this caused. So obviously, as we found out now, the engine's very complex. Obviously, the main purpose is just to produce energy, and then with the amount of energy lost, 35% efficiency in a normal car isn't what you want in F1. So to have all of these parts making it even more efficient, it's obviously very complex. There's a lot of systems involved. That's why teams end up developing it a lot, but also they have loads of penalties, as you said. You're only allowed a certain number for each season. And when these were first introduced in 2014, teams were getting like 70 place grid penalties for replacing it by the end of the season, because they had to replace everything, every race.
Yeah, basic reliability has come a long way since probably like reliability has improved. Looking to 2026, the main component they want to remove is the MGUH, because they essentially, it does not translate at all to normal cars, like civilian cars essentially. It's not useful in any way. Like Mercedes, I think, used it in one hyper-performance car, or used some of the knowledge from it rather, but didn't actually use it directly. So it's not useful for any road running cars. So that's the main component they want to remove, and it essentially simplify the engine a lot. One of the things that like Honda grasped the past few years in improving kind of their engine was two things: their energy store. They managed to improve the amount of energy they're actually storing, and the second thing was the MGUH. That was critical in their engine being like quite like competitive this last year. They're still down, I think, like looking at the amount of like horsepower produced by each engine, Mercedes is still ahead of everyone else, but reliability is a key part of like a 23. It's now 23 race season, so reliability is going to be a huge thing, especially under the cost cap. Because like replacing an engine extremely expensive. So, but yeah, that's essentially kind of like the power unit
as a whole. Yeah, and they're quite even now in terms of performance. Mercedes used to be well ahead. This is what has caused them to be winning for the past however many years. But teams are catching up now. In 2017, we saw Ferrari through
but like that
legal or illegal manners managing to get quite high engine power for the past few years. So they were improving.
Yeah, but 2020 said a lot.
They did go backwards, but now they've quite recent. When was it? I think it was Saudi. They came up with I think it was an MGUH upgrade. That MGUH or NGUK. Basically, they upgraded one of the parts of their engine or power unit, and then that got them another like 20 horsepower, which is now like they're going to use it as part of this engine. And like this year, and that's what gave them like a big advantage over McLaren.
To be fair, from now to the end of the season, from now to 2026, there is an engine freeze. So that means that the engine, essentially, this engine is, the only thing you can introduce new is reliability improvements. So like, from here to 2026, Mercedes have the best engine, Red Bull second best, or Honda the second best, and like you have Ferrari third, and Alpine is just terrible. And basically, going into 2026, essentially from now until then, each company, each team is designing the new engine, essentially, new regulations. But like compared to a road car, like say like a hyper performance car or something like that, like it only has like a 1.6 liter V6, which is very, very small.
Yeah.
Compared to like some have like, most of them will have like a 4 liter V12 or something like that.
Yeah, supercars or any sports cars really.
But like these cars will extract way more out of it than the normal road cars.
Yeah, like I think I saw like people love doing. Basically, people don't understand how fast F1 cars are. I saw like there's always on the trending page there'll be like a 2011 Red Bull, and they'll have it drag race like a Bugatti Chiron.
Yeah,
I think they did it. They did it against a Tesla or something as well. I think I might have seen that.
I think the Tesla won. The Tesla was one of the few that actually won against it.
I think the Tesla won, yeah. But then obviously all the comments were like, "Oh, just wait until the Tesla has to go around the corner."
Yeah,
and it's not wrong.
The Tesla is only good off the line because it has that initial. It will win that initial part of like the electric energy essentially over like any mechanical car, but then like if it's actually long enough, the Formula 1 car is just gonna catch and blow it out of the water. But in terms of like the next few years, before the introduction, I think by 2023, Formula 1 will have moved completely to biofuels. So they're no longer going to be using... So essentially it's in their drive to become, I think, is it carbon net zero or something?
Carbon neutral, yeah.
Carbon neutral, yeah. So by 2023, I think, they're not going to be using any. They're going to be only using biofuels. And 2026 they remove the MGUH, and essentially the reason is to become all the technology that's developed in F1 can be translated into a road car and improving all of that stuff. So like Formula E, for instance, that is used by all the companies that are developing the battery solutions, all of that stuff. That's translated into the cars that they are actually manufacturing. So you see like Jaguar, they're quite big in electrical cars. You have Mercedes there, Audi, all of the companies that have quite competitive actual electric cars were in Formula E, and like that technology translates. And I think that's one thing Formula One is doing to kind of become more attractive for manufacturers, is that Formula One is it's a break-even sport. You're not actually going to make profit out of. But if you break even, but you use that technology for your road cars, you're actually making profit in that sense, because you're making profit off your marketing, because marketing is huge, like Formula One as a tool. But you're also making profit.
Energy drinks company has two teams. Well, one now, but still. But
also the second thing is you're making you're making money off marketing. You're not losing any money, you're just breaking even. So whatever you invest, you're just getting back exactly the same. And the third thing is you're now gaining actual like a technological advancement in a sense, but that all the technology are actually being invented and like designed in Formula One. You can essentially, you have all the blueprints to just take that and just apply it to like one of your cars.
Yeah, because the whole point of F1 in general, or how it's meant to be, is because the amount of money these teams can invest and the level of talent they have with their engineers, the turnover for developing things is insane. It's so much faster. Like if you want to see a certain technology put in a road car, like if F1 was aiming to produce self-driving cars, it would have probably done it by now.
Yeah.
Or at least very good ones. If you're trying to get very good self-driving cars, and we're talking completely automated, F1 would have done it by now.
Because it's so competitive.
But because these are just general car companies, obviously they've got talent and stuff, but the turnover isn't as fast. Because F1 is so quick in every aspect, they need to be ahead on these things, and they were kind of backed into a corner by Formula E, because that meant they couldn't go to fully electric engines. So the biofuel thing is what they're trying to do now.
Yeah, that's good. Like if you go to a fully electric engine, I just hate that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
It sounds dead. It doesn't sound.
No,
like
they yeah.
Also, one of the good things about removing the MGH is it said that it actually mutes the engine. So by removing the MGH, you'll actually, like, the sound will go back essentially. We'll get more sound. As a fun fact, Matteo Binotto, the principal of Ferrari, was in charge of Michael Schumacher's engine in 2005, I think.
No, was he?
He was in charge of reliability, and he was his engine engineer essentially in 2004 or 5.
That's so weird.
Matteo Binotto, yes. There's a video of him where Michael goes to him with a mic. I saw this today, literally, and he's like, "Explain what you do." He's like, "Italiano," and he's like, "Sure," and basically explains that he manages the reliability and all of that stuff relating to the engine. So his engine performs at peak performance.
I'm trying to imagine what he looked like. Did he have a skinhead, or was his hair?
No, his hair was very short. It was very short, and he's wearing those,
the classic
brimless glasses. Yeah. It looked quite funny.
What a legend.
But you can you can find the video and tag it in the video description.
Alright, yeah. The one you're describing, if I find it, I'll try put it in the description.
It's quite funny.
Alright, do we go on to the steering wheel, or should we skip that part?
No.
Should we skip it?
I don't know.
Do we explain the steering wheel?
No, that's fine. Skip it.
Yeah, we'll allow it. If you desperately want to see us explain parts of an F1 steering wheel, let us know. Anyway, okay, so we kind of touched on the regulations for 2020. Wait, what were you going to say?
I was just going to crop this part.
Fair enough.
We can stop here, though, and just make this video in a new video.
Yeah?
Because it's a different series, isn't it?
Alright. Wait, so you want to start again, new intro, new podcast?
Yeah.
Alright, that means if we're cutting this, we've got...
Yeah, you can...
You say it.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to stop
Wait,
here.
What? No, you've got to do it again, because then if we just cut out of nowhere, you've got to say that's us summarising the engine.
Okay. Wow, so demanding.
What do you mean?
I think this is the end of the second episode of explaining Formula 1. So we've covered basically all the basics that you'd need to kind of understand Formula One. Hopefully you can watch a race now and you won't get confused. It's okay to kind of get confused by like certain words. You'll kind of pick it up as you go along. I remember when I used to watch at the beginning, I'd like every race I'd like Google what's oversteer, what's understeer. I'd read it, understand it. 5 minutes later, I forget what's understeer and oversteer.
Yeah.
So it comes with time, and as you watch, you'll grasp it. It's fine.
And you don't need to know the engine stuff. It was for people who are interested. But if you don't get that stuff, you don't need to know how an engine works. Like if it's just for the curiosity, like.
I think we'll probably link a few maybe in-depth videos that you can go and watch if you're interested in this. That if you don't understand it as well, link a few simple ones with animations that can probably be helpful.
Yeah, I'll put one for like the main aspects. So like there's a good video made by a YouTube channel on logistics, because I explained these in the first episode. We've got logistics, aero, the engine as well. Like the main topics, I can try and find a good video to cover all of them, to like if you're curious to know more.
Yeah, basically. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. I think we're going to be covering the 2022 regulations and what's different from the current regulations, what to expect. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see Lewis losing. Anyways, you can see his face is just like, oh. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'll see you next week.